There's something about Wednesdays that just get under my skin. I'm actually in a much better mood than I was 20 minutes or so ago. Starts off a little rocky, but then I get to dig in with some questions that I'm more comfortable asking. That conversation with Debra from the Toledo Rep, Debra Calabrese. She's the director of the Toledo Rep's Shout performance happening at Ottawa Park, 27th through the 6th. We'll have Debra on here in just a couple of minutes. Like I said, I was much more comfortable asking her questions about, like, how do you deal with hard-to-handle people? And speaking of hard to handle, a couple of monologue minutes here between you and I before we bring in Debra on the podcast. We always try to have community guests here on Wednesdays and actually Thursdays for the next couple of weeks. Don't know if we'll have a Friday podcast as we get ready for a long holiday weekend where my dad will be visiting. When last we left, I think I told you yesterday with Alex, I said, I'm going to tell my dad, it's not a good idea to come. Too much driving lately. It's just disappointing that you're only going to be able to stay for a day. So I did that. And I don't know if you called. I obviously had a desired outcome. I was ready. I went to the table and was confident with him not coming. But I also was, what you want to call it, manipulation. You want to call it massaging. You want to call it negotiating. There's a lot of different things you can call it. It's the world we live in is everything is subjective and everything can be boiled down to semantics. But my aim was to press my dad and I guess make it a gambit, a little stratagem. I'll risk him not coming and me not getting soft pretzels, but the good outcome could be is maybe he'll consider what? So I called him last night on the way to Amanda's house, and I said, Dad, it's too much driving lately. You're only going to stay for a day. I don't want you driving all that, how many ever hours, 16 hours over the course of like a day and a half. Let's just postpone it. But send Luna to Terry's house to see how long she'll go there with them getting along. Because I told you before, Terry called my dad one night at 11 o'clock. Luna's not sleeping. And she wanted my dad to race across town and come pick her up. My dad gets there. Luna wouldn't pay attention to my dad. Some of the worst qualities in my mom are with Terry. Maybe my dad found someone like my mom. So he did say, well, how about this? I'll leave Sunday night. What do you mean you'll leave Sunday night? What time? 8 o'clock. No, you are not driving the Ohio and Pennsylvania turnpikes 8 o'clock at night till 4 or 5 in the morning. Absolutely not. I said, look, we'll just postpone it. We'll see how long Luna can stay with Terry and maybe build her up so that you can stay longer next time. And my dad's like, nothing's going to change. She's not going to build up tolerance. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll postpone it. Maybe I can come home in the meantime. The baby's due in August. And my dad's like, well, then I won't be able to meet your girlfriend. I said, that's not for sure. So I said, let's just postpone it. Better safe than sorry at this point. I said, okay. I get a missed call while I'm at Amanda's house. I call him back, and he said, okay, I'll stay for 4 days. 4? Well, what he meant was he'll be out here Friday afternoon, middle of the afternoon, probably while I'm at work, and he'll go home Monday morning. So I won. That's the time he usually stays. And what about Luna and Terry? Terry's agreed to watch Luna. Now, I don't know if it's come hell or high water, but I hope it's that because the last thing I want is a phone call 3 o'clock on Saturday, 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. Terry telling my dad, you got to come get the dog. Because apparently my brother and Tracy have made some plans. They could probably help out, but it was selfish of Terry. It was short-sighted of my dad. It was potentially unsafe for him to do all this driving in a short period of time. So it worked out for my benefit. He did say, I did hang up the phone with him last night and say, Dad, you got to just get a freezer full of pretzels. He said, you'll be lucky if I remember to bring pretzels. Maybe that's where I do lose. But if I get to see my dad for the first time since December of 2019 and don't get any soft pretzels, that's a small price to pay to see my dad and for him to have enough time to meet Amanda. And tentatively, we've got some dinner planned. We'll go over to Amanda's house on Saturday night, have some dinner, I'll bring my iPad and connect. My dad can watch the Sixers game at Amanda's house, and then I'm thinking maybe we can have some breakfast or coffee Monday morning before my dad, the three of us, before my dad heads back to Philadelphia. So it worked out as I had hoped. A quick dog update. One, it's amazing. So my other dog had to go to the vet today. Andre had to go to the vet today to get heartworm stuff taken care of. It's amazing, and I apologize. I said I'm sorry for Diddy's behavior Monday. Diddy just doesn't want his paws touched at all, and I figured since he wasn't getting his nails clipped, I'm not going to give him the sedative. He didn't like getting blood drawn either. They had to take him in the back and muzzle him, and he's a terror. So I apologize for his behavior. Conversely, Andre is beloved at the vet, and he is just the sweetest little thing, and we love Andre, and he's happy, and tails wagging, blah, 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 blah. They're polar opposites when it comes to socializing and going to the vet, and they have their own chemistry, but I'm curious to see if I'll be able to fit another dog in with these two. That other dog, the black stray pit bull that found me on Monday. Got some pictures from Steve over at the Toledo Animal Rescue. She's doing well. She's finding herself a little bit. She's getting comfortable. I couldn't see her today because they had some appointments scheduled, but I'm going to try to go over tomorrow, definitely before the end of the week, to visit her. I forget if Steve and Michaela and the crew over there had given her a name or not, but she's doing really good. Some pictures up on social if you want to see her. She's got to get spayed, but she'll be up for adoption. Maybe she winds up with me. I don't know. She's a big dog to walk with the other two, as feisty as those two can be on the leash. Good luck to everybody else in the ensuing 4 weeks. Probably by the time you hear this, I'll have been announced as the winner of Vax-A-Million, DeWine Dollars. It's actually like $550,000 once taxes are pulled out. And I'm patting myself on the back. Let me take my victory lap. According to an article in The Blade, and I did this math last week, and I figured how many people we have here, how many people are not going to get vaccinated, how many people are under 18 who would only be eligible for the college scholarship. I'm like, 3 million. You have a 1 in 3 million chance of winning. Like I said, the ensuing 4 weeks, because this is my week to have won the Vax-A-Million. And the other number is about 1 in 22. Your chance is 1 in 22. I think I'm doing the math was my worst subject. Math and chemistry, which are closely connected. Looks like there was a 1 in 22 chance for somebody in Wood and or Lucas County, our two counties combined, to win the Vax-A-Million. So 1 in 22 chance, 1 in 3 million in the state. That's not bad. Like if you look at lottery odds, that's not bad at all. So good luck in the ensuing 4 weeks of this. Dad dog. So the Imagination Station opens up over the weekend, and Amanda wants to take Pierce there, and I think he'll love it. He loves watching how things work, and he loves ramps and rolling balls down things. He's got a very sciencey mind, like an architect's mind. And whatever, the Imagination Station has been completely rebuilt. But you know when you walk past the gift shop, they have this structure where you put a ball in and it rolls all over. And then there's another part of he'll love that. Then there's another part of the Imagination Station where you put, it's downstairs. You put pegs in the wall and you roll balls down and you work with other people to make all these different directions. Pierce will love that. I was wondering, it's also the grand opening, again, take 2, of the Key Bank Theater. It was open. They were going to do this in the fall, but then we shut things down again. So I was wondering what's showing. And something called the Hidden Pacific. Be transported to the beautiful island waters in Hidden Pacific. Journey to the far reaches of the Pacific Ocean, where blue, green islands, atolls, and coral reefs are thriving, largely untouched by humans, and currently protected as marine national monuments. Embark on a journey beyond the horizon and encounter several iconic animals such as dolphins, fish, sharks, crabs, and whales. All protected species, including the Laysan albatross, green sea turtle, Hawaiian monk seal, black-tip reef shark, humphead wrasse, giant clam, and more. I want to see it on that massive, very cool screen that they have at the Key Bank Theater. I'd also like to go to that place. So if you, like me, were wondering what's happening at the Imagination Station with that movie theater they built and finished up during the pandemic. There you go. Last thing, I told you yesterday, I'm not going to recap the story because you probably caught the podcast, but my neighbor, I texted my neighbor. I was like, what's the story with the lady that lives across the driveway from me? And she said, I told her, what did I tell her? Sorry. I told her I hate her. And she said, what, why? And said, what's up with the neighbor? And I explained what happened. She said, blank, the lawn guy asked me for someone's number at that association. They're a different homeowners association across the driveway from me. So I just walked down there and asked her. She wouldn't open her storm door, so I had to yell instead of talk to her, and she wouldn't give me her number, but said she would take his number. Absolutely no conversation, not friendly at all. I was not expecting. So that woman whose text I just read you is a sweetheart. I love her as the president. Love living down the block from her. Great lady. Seems like the kind of lady that could never get upset or hurt a fly or never lose her temper. And I could see the disgust in her text message at the neighbor that I dislike. And while I dislike a lot of people, like the anti-vaxxers, non-maskers, Republicans, it's very hard for me to look at somebody and go, I hate you. But I've looked at that neighbor enough over the 2 years she's been there, and I hate her. I meant it when I told my neighbor, my HOA president. So with that, obviously things are getting back to normal. Yesterday, I went unmasked at the gym. Today, there were lots of people not masked at all, and it felt like pre-pandemic times. And one of the things so many people are looking forward to as we get past the pandemic or the real serious and lethal nature of COVID is performances, live music, live performances like a musical. So let's bring in Debra Calabrese, director of Toledo Rep's Shout musical that's happening at the Ottawa Park Amphitheater May 27th to June 6th. Here's Debra.
Is this Eric?
Yes. All right. Well, do you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay.
I'm so sorry about all this.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Well, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. The Twitter guy, Ryan, said that I'm quite honored. He said that you guys are looking to promote Shout a little bit, and the podcast here came up. So thanks for taking a couple of minutes to talk about what's happening with the Rep and the Shout show.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure.
No, it really is my pleasure. Although I have to offer full disclosure here. I don't know anything about musicals. So if it's okay, I do have some questions. I cribbed some questions from a friend of mine who was doing the Rock of Ages show. But tell me, from your perspective, what's going on with the Rep and specifically, obviously, the Shout musical coming up. Likely, as of now, people are listening to this. It's available to go see.
Yes. We open tomorrow. Tonight's our final dress rehearsal. And we're presenting this 1960s groovy fab musical.
Is this I literally know nothing about Shout or musicals. So where did this begin? What was the appeal of wanting to do this with the Rep? So walk me all through that.
Sure. So obviously we were in the midst of COVID, and all theaters were shut down, and we were still brainstorming on, the season that we had to close down, and then future seasons, and when the COVID restrictions become more open, and we can start thinking about putting some things on. Where should we do it? So we decided, okay, we're going to look at the Ottawa Park Amphitheater, which is a perfect venue for this time, and with COVID and all, because you can sit 6 feet apart, you're outdoors, and from what I understand, we can be maskless now. And then we talked about what type of musical we should do, because you can't have a cast of 1,000 people on a stage and still stay COVID safe. So as the days ticked by, we looked at small musicals, small cast musicals. Not that the show is small, but certainly the cast is. And I happened to come across Shout, which is a cast of 6 women, and so they're all, spread apart. It's considered a musical review, which means basically they take a theme and they play and they sing and they dance and they act to different music of that theme. Ours happens to be the music of the 60s in Britain. If you remember in the 1960s, the whole British invasion after the Beatles came over, then every hit tune was sung by someone from England, and that's what this is. It's a musical review. It has songs. If you know any of the songs from the 60s, it's like Downtown and Those Were the Days and These Boots Were Made for Walking. So I was singing along to all of those. So
awesome.
And then there's some dialogue. There is a little storyline that goes along with it. And I thought it was the perfect musical to choose at this point because it felt so COVID safe. And actually, all of our cast members are vaccinated, so it just made it even better.
Is this the first big show that you guys have done since the return, essentially?
They did. No, they've done some shows. They did Chess last fall with not a little larger cast, but all masked. They did everything masked. This time because of the vaccinations and it's the style of show. There's no reason to get really close to each other. We are maskless.
Sure.
So so it's and restrictions has eased up a little bit too. So making us able to do something like this.
It's interesting to see that it was your first thing to look for in a show to do was the size of the cast rather than, it's been a tumultuous last 15 months or so. Did the spirit of the moment catch you at all, or was it strictly about making sure that it was a small, manageable cast?
It was both. It was all of the above. I wanted something also that was uplifting, and this is something that if audience members want to join along and sing along, and because of the venue being at the amphitheater, plenty of room. You can stand up and dance. You can sing. You can join in. It's one of those easygoing kind of thing, and I thought that is great. Didn't know how many people would actually come and audition. We had a great turnout. But, not knowing that, keeping it a small cast might help that also.
Sure.
And just because of COVID, I certainly wouldn't want to have the responsibility of giving someone COVID. So it was all of those. It took a lot of sitting down and talking and thinking and discussing.
Sure. What was rehearsal like? When did you guys pick the show and then dive into rehearsal? Because were there still some precautions in place and protocols as you were trying to bring this all together?
Yes. And the first thing we did after we had auditioned was I checked to make sure everybody was vaccinated at that point, which they were. And then we were going to rehearse outdoors, and we started the first part of April. And as you remember, with our weather,
it snowed.
It really wasn't conducive. We tried the first few outside, and we were freezing and shivering. And I thought, well, if we don't catch COVID, we're gonna certainly catch pneumonia. So then we found a space that was huge and easy to rehearse in and still keep our distance, and has really served the purpose. So, yeah.
Can you do some shout outs to the 6 in the cast?
Absolutely. And the characters are actually, they don't have normal names. They are called different colors. So Yellow Girl is performed by Debra Calabrese, And Orange is performed by Caitlin Leslie Levering. Blue Girl is Kate Liao, and Green is Lauren DePore, and Red is Amber Wilkes. And there is a Dear Abby type of character called Gwendolyn Holmes, and she is performed by Lydia Schaefer. And that's our cast.
Is Lauren an Ottawa Hills student or graduate?
Could be.
Okay.
She's a school teacher, and I don't know where.
Okay, maybe
she
not.
grew
Maybe
up,
not.
but-
The name rang a bell there for a minute. This one is up and running. Goes till the 27th to June 6th, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. And tickets are available. Just go to the Toledo Rep's website and snag some tickets, correct?
Yes, ToledoRep.org.
Awesome. What other things do you guys have planned for the summer?
Well, in the summer, I know on main stage we will be looking towards the fall show and having auditions, and then running rehearsals. We have some young rep shows coming up, and there's always something going on at the rep, and probably the easiest thing to do is continue to check their website, because there's always something popping up, and it's exciting to be able to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
We're cautiously doing this, though. We're taking it one step at a time, but it has been a ball. It has just been a ball.
When did you have your getting ready for this show, or maybe just your personal life in general, or as this all comes together? When did you have your first sigh of relief that you're going to be able to do this? We're going to be able to pull this off, and it's coming together, like that aha moment, like we're getting back to some normalcy now. When did you have that moment?
Gosh, I don't. Honestly, I think that when we all got together, I really had a big sigh of relief, because immediately all the girls clicked. They have such great chemistry together, so that was my first sigh of relief in the aha. And then when we started rolling, and they're all seasoned, definitely seasoned actresses, so it just has been a very easy, in a sense. I've been no stress. It's been totally stress-free.
Good.
Doing this.
How many shows have you been the director for with the Rep or in your career?
I started at the Rep in 1986. So, and there's so many shows I can't remember, to be perfectly honest. I've worked at other theaters and other community theaters, and up at the Croswell Opera House, and just wherever it takes me. I love looking forward and seeing what's coming, down the pike, so to speak. And I try to take my trips to New York to see what's out there new and exciting, and then make my bucket list up of what I'd like to do in the future as soon as those musicals are released. You have to wait till to buy the rights for them. So.
Yeah. What's something that you kind of want a show that you'd like to sink your teeth into if it became available?
Well, one of the things that actually I saw in New York a couple of years ago, at least, was Something Rotten, and that is what I'm actually directing and choreographing at the Toledo Rep this fall.
Excellent.
So we'll probably have auditions soon, and get rolling with that one. It'll be here before you know it.
What's your favorite show to have produced in your entire career?
Oh gosh, there are so many. I recently did Ragtime. We were just talking about that at rehearsal the other night. One of my leads from Ragtime at the Croswell is here doing the Shout show with me, and she's wonderful, of course. And we were just saying, I think it's almost been 4 years almost since we have done that show, and there's just so many. There's a lot.
What show has had and I hope I'm asking this correctly, a surprising level of difficulty? Like you picked out a show and you didn't realize maybe it was the beast that it was. And I know some of that can come back to the performers. And I have another question about that. But what's been a very a show that had a high level of difficulty to create and produce?
And I'm not just saying this to fluff this question off, but really every show has its degree of difficulty, and it's how much you want to put into it. Even Shout, which looked like a very simple little, they're just going to stand on the stage and do a little singing. They'll do a little, movement, and then we'll take a bow and we'll get off. No, the sets and the lighting and the sound and the costumes and what the girls do and who you even choose at auditions. I was so lucky to the level of talent that is in this show, in these small 6 women, this little handful of women it's unbelievable. And, it's something that you can just sit back and just sort of fluff it off, or you can really give it your all. And I try to do that with every musical I do. I mean, I've done the Christmas Carol at the Toledo Rep, and at one point we had like 100 and some people in the show. I mean, that's a big, big production.
Yeah.
But still, if you do it the right way, you can still keep that stress level down. And if you know what you're doing, you're okay. And you got to have a good team. You really have to have that good team behind you to really put that production on.
You mentioned the 6 girls had really good chemistry, so I'm a big believer when it comes to team building or leadership or partnerships. I will sacrifice talent if there is a good chemistry. What do you do when you can't seem to get everybody on the same page? Maybe there's a little bit of creative differences, philosophical differences, when the chemistry just doesn't seem to become a nice little experiment. What do you do? How do you manage that?
I've been very lucky. I really think just at auditions, when you have like callbacks, if I'm calling people back, I'm also going to check their chemistry from the get-go. Even at those callbacks, I'm going to read, say there's the lead guy and the lead girl, and they have to have this fabulous chemistry on stage. I'm going to read all the guys I called back for the lead and all the girls I called back for that lead, and then I'm going to bump them off each other, and I'm going to mix them and match them and see what works. So not only if they could be the greatest thing in the world, but if they walk in and they can't act or they don't have that chemistry with that other person, I'm not going to choose them.
Yeah, it's so important. How do you manage?
It is.
How do you manage in the same line of questioning? How do you manage hard to handle talent?
I think my philosophy is treat everyone like a human being. What goes around comes around, and if you put out respect, you're going to get it back. If you're a tyrant, that's what you're going to get back. And I have always used that, and it has, I think, been a great philosophy, and it has served me well.
Good. So you've never come across like an incorrigible prima donna, like, "Hello, we're at the Crosby House in Adrian. This is not Broadway. Kendra, chill. Take your posse, and we don't need your drama here."
There's always drama somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the beast.
So I'll ask. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's and again, treat them with respect. And I'm also a big believer in let's talk this out. There have been a few shows where we've really, had to sit down and talk and really just talk about our characters, talk about what's going on. And I really appreciate the professionalism. You might want to call them a diva, but sometimes there's a professionalism that when it gets down to the rehearsals, though, they're not fooling around, they're not messing around. They know they're here to work, and bam, they're producing from the get-go, and they're giving me 100% in every rehearsal. that I can deal with.
Yeah.
That I like.
Yeah. Last question. So I know musicals float in my ecosystem because so many of my close friends, you might even know some of them. They might even perform for you. I know they've been at venues where you've done shows at. I've supported them and talked about them, been to a couple of them. But again, I'm a novice. The only musical I've ever been to, and I enjoyed the heck out of it, was 2 years ago. I saw Willy Wonka at the Stranahan. So for the musical novices like myself, what shows would you recommend to me and others like me?
Oh gosh, on the local level, if you have friends that are in shows or you hear about it, go ahead and watch it. You'll gain a great respect for all shows, and then you'll start to go, okay, this one was all right. Oh, this one was fabulous. Oh, this one was really bad. I say, and support art. I'm a firm believer. I taught at Toledo School for the Arts for 10 years, and art saves lives. And I lived that. I saw how it saved our youth. It just made a huge difference in so many square pegs trying to fit into a round hole kind of kids,
Yeah.
And so I'm also a huge supporter of the arts around the Toledo area, any art.
Yeah.
And
we have a great art museum, like one that can match up with anywhere in the
Absolutely.
country. But I always like to throw out, not only do we have a great art museum, but we have in some ways like an overlooked and underrated arts community that
Absolutely.
you're a part of, and it's great to see all the all the murals are everywhere now, so it's growing and people are paying attention. But even before murals went up everywhere, we had a great art scene here.
Absolutely. Yes. And so if there's no art, it's just there's nothing then, and so yes, support that theater, support the arts community in Toledo. Any sort of art you can get your hands on, or you can go watch, or you can go listen to. I say go for it.
Yeah, and it's all coming back now. Shout the musical, the 27th through June 6th at the Ottawa Park Amphitheater, ToledoRep.org. Right, Debra?
Right.
Awesome.
Yes. Come see us.
Thank you very much for the time. And you said TSA, so that means you spent some time in Gerkeyville, as I like to call it.
Oh, yes. I'll be seeing Gerke in about 10 minutes, to be perfectly honest. So.
Tell him that we chatted, and he will then remind. He might have you remind me that he's the most famous person that's ever been on the podcast. So certainly
now I can tell him I am.
Yes,
I did hear.
in fact, yes, you should say yes. Please do. Give him all the ribbing in the world. It sounds like you've got that relationship with him. He's a good guy, but he always likes to give it to me.
Yeah, you just got to give it back to him, if you know what I mean. So.
I do. Debra, thanks for the time. Good luck with the show. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And break. I'll tell all my people in the show, break a leg, and we'll put that out there in the universe. And please come watch us. Support the arts.
Thank you so much. And well, good to have the arts back. Enjoy the performances.
Yeah.
Bye bye, Debra.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye bye.